You're looking at their social media, or maybe you ran into them somewhere, or someone told you something about how they've been acting, and it hits you. This person who knew every corner of your life, who saw you at your worst and your best, who you built something real with, is walking around like none of it ever happened. Not angry, not sad, not anything, just gone. And I know what that does to you, because it's not just painful, it's confusing. It makes you question everything. Like, was any of it real? Did I imagine the whole thing? How can someone just erase years like that? And the worst part, you can't even be mad properly, because there's nothing to be mad at. They're not fighting with you. They're not saying hurtful things. They're just acting like you're a stranger. That's what we're gonna talk about today. Not the surface level stuff, not give them space or whatever generic advice you've heard 100 times. I want to actually explain what's happening inside their head right now, why they're acting this way, what it really means, and what you can do with that understanding. Because the way they're acting right now, it's not random. It's not the full picture of what's going on inside them. And once you understand what's really happening, everything starts to make more sense. Let me ask you something. Think about the last time you went through something really painful, not just sad, something that shook you, something that made you feel like you didn't know which way was up. What did you do? Some people cry, some people talk about it constantly, some people shut down completely, and some people pretend it never happened, not because they don't care, but because caring too much is unbearable. I want you to sit with that, because we've been taught that when someone cares, they show it. When someone loves you, they fight for you. But that's not how humans actually work. Not always. Sometimes the things that matter most are the things we run from the hardest. Sometimes love doesn't look like holding on. Sometimes it looks like pretending you never existed because the alternative is too much to carry. This is what psychologists call emotional compartmentalization. It's a survival mechanism. The brain literally creates walls between the painful thing and everyday functioning. Think about soldiers who come back from war and can't talk about what happened. Think about people who lose someone and go straight back to work the next day. That's compartmentalization. The brain saying, I can't process this right now, so I'm putting it in a box. Your ex isn't acting like you never existed because you didn't matter. They're acting like you never existed because you mattered so much that the only way they can function is to pretend you didn't. Read that again if you need to. When someone goes through a breakup, the same parts of the brain that light up during physical pain light up during emotional rejection. There was a study at Columbia University where they showed people pictures of their exes in brain scanners. The same regions that activate when you burn your hand, those lit up. And what does the body do when there's a wound? It protects it. It numbs the area so you can keep moving. That's what's happening with your ex. They've numbed the area. The area is you. Everything you built together, every memory, every moment that meant something, they haven't erased it, they've anesthetized it. And here's what people miss. Pretending something doesn't exist takes way more energy than just feeling it. You have to actively avoid thinking about certain things. Redirect your brain every time it wanders to a memory. Perform okayness for everyone around you. See something that reminds you of them and force yourself to look away. That's not peace. That's a full-time job. So when you see them acting normal, posting on social media, going out with friends, you're not seeing someone who moved on. You're seeing someone working overtime to maintain an illusion. Now let me tell you something uncomfortable. The intensity of their avoidance usually matches the intensity of what they're avoiding. If the relationship truly meant nothing, there would be nothing to avoid. They would just move on naturally. No performance, no unfollowing, no removing pictures, no acting weird when your name comes up. But when someone is going out of their way to act like you never existed, that's not indifference. That's effort. And energy only gets spent on things that matter. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. Real indifference. The kind where you genuinely don't think about someone because they just don't cross your mind. What you're describing, that's a very loud attempt to create the appearance of indifference. And those are two completely different things. I work with people going through this all the time. And one of the most common mistakes I see is misreading this behavior as rejection, as proof that you weren't important. And I get why. It feels like rejection. It looks like rejection. Every signal they're sending seems to say, you don't matter to me. But signals and reality aren't always the same thing. Sometimes the signal is a defense mechanism. Sometimes the message is the opposite of what's being communicated. Think about when you were a kid. Did you ever like someone and act mean to them? Did you ever want something so badly that you told yourself you didn't want it at all, just so it wouldn't hurt if you didn't get it? We don't outgrow that, we just get more sophisticated at it. Let me give you an example. I talked to someone recently. His ex, after 3 years together, completely shut down after the breakup, wouldn't respond to messages, acted cold the few times they had to interact, seemed totally fine while he was falling apart. He interpreted this as proof she never really loved him, that he wasted 3 years on someone who could just walk away like it was nothing. Then, months later, he found out through a mutual friend that she had been a complete mess, crying constantly, couldn't sleep, started therapy just to function, deleted their pictures not because she wanted to forget, but because she couldn't look at them without breaking down. But she refused to let him see any of it. Why? Because showing him would have made it real, would have required her to actually process what happened instead of just surviving it. Her coldness wasn't about him. It was about her own inability to face what she was feeling. The point isn't to hope your ex is secretly falling apart. The point is that external behavior and internal experience are two completely different things. And making assumptions based only on what you can see will lead you to wrong conclusions. You're writing a story about what they're feeling based on a performance they're putting on. That story is probably wrong, and it's definitely hurting you. Before we continue, let me ask you something really quick. If this content is helping you see your relationship in a different way, subscribe to the channel. It's 100% free, it costs nothing, and it's what allows me to keep bringing deeper, truly useful content for people who are living exactly what you're living right now. Now let me tell you something important. The few people who actually manage to rebuild a relationship after a breakup are not the ones who insist the most, nor the ones who try to simply communicate better. They're the ones who understand what changes emotionally after a breakup. They understand timing. They know when silence is necessary. They understand why certain actions push someone away and why others at the right moment start to reopen doors. That's why I created the second chance formula. It's not about acting on impulse or trying to fix everything at once. It's a structured method designed to rebuild emotional connection the right way, even when the other person is cold, distant, or saying they don't feel the same anymore. When you join, you don't go in alone. You get access to real cases, real decisions, and a clear structure organized by emotional phases, so you know exactly what to do, what to avoid, and when to act. On top of that, the method follows different paths for men and women, because what creates emotional safety for one can feel like pressure to the other. And at key moments in the process, I personally analyze your case to guide you with clarity. If you want to get out of trial and error mode and follow a more conscious, intelligent path, the link to the second chance formula is in the description. Now let's go back to where we left off. So what do you actually do with this information? First, stop taking their behavior personally. I know that sounds impossible, but their behavior right now is about their emotional capacity, not about your worth, not about what the relationship was. They're doing what they need to do to survive. It's not elegant, it's not mature, it's not fair, but it's what they're capable of right now. And the more you internalize their behavior as a reflection of your value, the more you'll spiral. The more you'll reach out from desperation, the more you'll push them further away. Second, recognize this phase doesn't last forever. Compartmentalization is not sustainable. Eventually the emotions break through, the memories come flooding back, the numbness wears off, and they have to feel what they've been avoiding. This is why so many exes reach out months later, out of nowhere, when you finally started feeling okay. That's not random. That's the walls coming down. That's them finally facing what they couldn't face before. But you can't wait around for that. You can't put your life on hold. What you can do is understand the process and let that understanding change how you show up. Because here's where most people mess up. When someone acts like you don't exist, the natural response is to try to make them remember, to prove you mattered. So you send a long text explaining your feelings. You show up where you know they'll be. You post things hoping they'll see. You do anything to break through that wall. And I understand the impulse. It comes from pain, from a desperate need to be seen by someone refusing to see you. But think about what that actually does. When someone is using distance to cope and you try to force closeness, they build the walls higher. You're not breaking through. You're reinforcing why they think they need it. The thing that feels most natural to do is often the thing that makes everything worse. So instead, here's what works better. You have to become someone they don't need walls against. Right now, in their mind, you represent pain, difficult conversations, things they're not ready to face. Every message confirms you're a source of emotional overwhelm they need protection from. What if that changed? What if when they think of you, they don't think of someone who's going to make them face things they're not ready for? What if they start to wonder what you're doing out of curiosity, not anxiety? This isn't about manipulation. It's about genuinely shifting from someone who needs something from them to someone building a life that doesn't depend on them. The energy you carry directly affects how they perceive you. When you reach out from neediness, they feel the neediness. When you reach out from stability, they feel the stability. And stability is attractive. Stability is safe. Stability is what makes someone lower their walls. If you're going to have any contact, here's what matters more than what you say. It's the emotional undertone of why you're saying it. People can feel when you're fishing for a response, when your question isn't really a question, when "hope you're doing well" actually means "please tell me you still care." When they feel that, walls go up. But when you communicate something and genuinely don't need anything back, that's when things shift. I know a guy who, after weeks of cold responses, sent his ex a message about a song that came on. No, how are you? No agenda. Just heard this, thought you'd like it, hope you're well. She responded differently than anything else, warmer. Because for the first time, he wasn't asking for anything. He was just sharing, like a friend would. That didn't fix everything overnight, but it was the first crack in the wall. Now, what if they really don't care? What if they're genuinely over you? It's possible. Some relationships end and one person moves on quickly because it wasn't that deep for them. But here's how you tell the difference. When someone genuinely doesn't care, there's no performance, no effort to prove they're okay, no avoidance or coldness, just neutrality. They can talk to you normally. Your name doesn't trigger any reaction. Neutrality is boring, unremarkable. It doesn't go out of its way to be seen. If they're actively acting like you never existed, if the avoidance is obvious, if there's a performance happening, that's not neutrality, that's protection. And you only protect yourself from things that have the power to hurt you. So here's what I want to leave you with. The way they're acting right now is temporary. It's a phase of processing, not the final verdict on what you meant to them, but how you respond to this phase matters. If you respond with desperation, with pressure, you'll confirm every reason they have for keeping those walls up. But if you can hold steady, let them have their process, become someone associated with stability instead of chaos, that's when things can change. And even if they never come back, you win. Because you've built a life that doesn't depend on them. You've become someone who handles hard things with grace. Not guaranteed, nothing is, but possible. And possible is enough to approach this differently than you have been. Alright, that's what I've got for you. If this hit different, let me know in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one.